The house had been rented 47 times. 47 guests had checked in. None of them had left a review. Mara noticed this only after she had already paid. Sitting in a gas station parking lot outside of Cookeville, Tennessee, trying to coax her phone into loading the listing one more time before the signal died completely. 47 bookings. 5 stars average. 0 written reviews. Not a single person had typed even one word about their stay. She told herself people were lazy. She told herself she was tired and reading into things. She pulled back onto the highway and turned the radio up loud. She should have turned around. The GPS died 3 miles before she reached the house. She told herself it was just a dead signal. Rural Tennessee had a habit of swallowing technology whole. But when the screen flickered back to life for exactly 4 seconds and showed her car parked in the middle of a lake that hadn't existed on any map she'd ever seen, she gripped the wheel and kept driving. The rental listing had called it a rustic retreat. Exposed beams, wood-burning fireplace, wraparound porch, creekside serenity. What the photos hadn't shown was the way the tree line pressed so close to the house that the branches actually scratched the roof shingles, or the way the porch light cast everything in a yellow so deep it looked like the whole property was jaundiced. Mara had booked it for a week of solitude. She was a grief counselor from Nashville who had spent 11 months listening to other people's darkness and had finally, absolutely, run out of light to give them. Her therapist said she needed distance from people. Her mother said she needed God. Mara thought she needed sleep. And the creek in the photos had looked peaceful. She pulled into the gravel drive at 9:47 p.m. and sat in the car for a moment longer than was necessary. Inside was fine. The key was under the mat, exactly where the host had said. The fireplace worked. The Wi-Fi password was taped to the refrigerator. Hollow Creek 88. She almost laughed at the normalcy of it. She poured a glass of red wine, pulled a blanket off the back of the couch, and listened to the creek moving somewhere beyond the dark tree line. She was asleep before 11. The first sound came at 2 a.m. It wasn't a creek house's creek. She knew that, especially old ones that expand and contract with the cold. This was something else. A rhythm. 3 knocks, a pause, then 2 more. Like a question. She lay still in the dark bedroom, eyes open, counting her own heartbeats and waiting for the sound to categorize itself into something explainable. It didn't. She turned on her phone flashlight and checked. Every room, nothing. The back door was locked. The front door was locked. Every window was latched. The creek murmured outside, indifferent. She went back to bed and decided she had dreamed it. The second night, she saw the child. She had stayed up late reading on the porch. The creek a silver thread in the moonlight below the bank. At some point, she could not say exactly when, she became aware of a figure standing at the edge of the tree line, small, still wearing something white. Mara stood up slowly. The figure didn't move. She called out, "Hello, are you okay?" In the careful, measured tone she used with clients in crisis. The figure turned its head, just the head, not the body. And then it walked backward into the trees, without ever facing away from her, shrinking into the darkness in a direction Mara's eyes could not follow. She went inside and locked the door and told herself it was a neighbor's kid. She told herself this with the same practiced conviction she used to tell herself, that people got better, that healing was linear, that loss had a shape you could eventually see the edges of. She did not sleep. By the 3rd day, she had found the journal. It was in the drawer beneath the fireplace, a small, water-stained composition notebook, with a name written on the inside cover in ballpoint pen. Ruth Kelly, 1988. The entries began normally enough. A woman renting the same house 36 years ago, complaining about the drive, the no-signal problem, the way the trees were too close. Mara read it on the couch, wine glass untouched on the coffee table. By entry 7, Ruth was writing about the knocks. 3 and then 2, same as before. I asked the neighbor, old Harlan, at the farm 2 miles up, and he went very quiet and told me not to answer them. I asked why. He said, because whatever is asking already knows you're here. It's asking if you know it's there. Mara turned the page with a hand she instructed herself to keep steady. Entry 9 was the last one Ruth completed. It said only, "It came inside last night. I didn't let it in. I don't know how it came inside." There was one more page after that. Not an entry, just a single line, written in different handwriting, darker ink, pressed hard into the paper, like whoever held the pen needed to anchor something. She didn't leave. Mara closed the journal. At midnight, the knocks came again. 3, then 2. The same question. She sat in the dark living room, blanket around her shoulders, and thought about her clients, the ones who came in the first raw weeks of grief, the ones who said they kept expecting their dead husbands to call, their dead mothers to walk through the door. She had always told them, the mind creates presence in the space absence leaves. It's how we survive the unbearable. She thought about that now. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 more. She thought about Ruth Cowley, 1988, who had not left. She picked up her car keys. She was halfway to the front door when the knocking stopped. She stopped to silence the creak, the branches against the roof, and then, from directly behind her, from inside the house, in the corner of the room, she had just been sitting in, a voice small, like a child, like something that had learned to sound like a child from a very long distance away. It said, "You should have answered." Mara ran. She made it to her car. She drove 40 miles without stopping and called no one, because there are things that happen to a person that language was not built to carry. She never filed a police report. She never returned to Hollow Creek. But every night at exactly 2 a.m., in her own locked apartment in Nashville, she hears it. 3 knocks. A pause, and she waits, every single night, to see if tonight is the night the 2 knocks do not come. So far, they always have. So far, and the Airbnb listing, it's still up, still 47 bookings, still 5 stars, still no reviews,